Okay, welcome to our online audience joining us. Thank you so much for being here. This is the League of Women Voters Candidate Forum for El Paso County Commissioner District 4. I am your host, Shelley Roars, spokesperson for the League of Women Voters at the Pikes Peak Region. We are coming to you live from the awesome facility, Widefield Parks and Recreation Center. So thank you so much for this amazing facility. We were here last year for school board forum, so we love this location. Our candidates joining us tonight are Dr. Dieter Duncan and also Mr. Louis Ybarra, Jr. And our moderator for this evening's forum is Ms. Allison Zimmerman with KOAA, and we're just going to give it to you and take it away, Allison.
Okay, we're going to start right away with opening statements from our candidates. As Shelley mentioned, they each get 2 minutes each. We are going to begin with candidate Duncan first. With that, I will turn it over to you. You have 2 minutes.
Thank you, and glad to see you all here this evening. You could have been somewhere else. Again, I am Dr. Dieter Duncan. I am second-term Fountain City Council, and I am running for County Commissioner. And the reason why that I am running for County Commissioner is because that I want to make the lives of everyone living in District 4 better. I want to make your quality of life better. I want to support our small businesses. I want to support our veterans in our community. I want to make sure that we have not only water, but clean water. And I also want to make sure that we have services here. Our area is considered a food desert. We do not have adequate produce in our area, fresh fruits and fresh vegetables in our area, and I want to make sure that I give our agriculture community an opportunity to bring their business here in the community. I also am concerned about our inadequate access to mental health services. We have a lot of veterans that are in our community that are in need of mental health services once they are discharged from the military, whether they be veteran or civilian, and we do not have services. Our population is 60% plus veteran in District 4, and we do not have adequate services, and that's why I'm running for County Commissioner.
We'll move on to candidate Ybarra.
Well, thank you everyone for coming out tonight. My name is Luis Ybarra Jr. I'm running unaffiliated for County Commissioner District 4. First off, I want to introduce myself. So I work for Widefield, I work for Security Water District. I make sure everyone has clean water clean water for them to drink. I was born and raised here in Security Widefield area. I was graduated from Widefield High School, class of 19. One of the big reasons I'm running for County Commissioner District 4 is to put people over politics and not politics over people. Recently, it seems like a lot nationally and stately, everyone's focused so much on federal elections. It's not so much on county elections and stuff that affects their everyday life. And I feel like the people's voices and needs are not really being heard like the way they should be. And that's why I'm running unaffiliated. Again, to put people over politics and to put, not to have a party agenda, but to put the agenda of the people and get stuff resolved around here, especially like our water sustainability, our schools, support our first responders, and definitely our drainage system. Anyone that lives around here in this area knows that our drainage system is pretty bad. And we own a local boxing gym that's a nonprofit here in the area, and our gym gets flooded every time we have a rainstorm around here. So I know how bad the infrastructure is, and that's one of the biggest priorities I want to have. Thank you.
All right, and now we'll move on to candidate questions. I do want to know, League of Women Voters has decided to provide candidates with these first 5 questions. So just as a disclaimer with that, candidates will each have 1 minute for these first 5 questions. And we will begin with candidate Ybarra. For our first question, what experience do you have working with organizational budgets? You have 1 minute.
Thank you. I have experience managing organizational budgets by helping to run the budget at our local nonprofit business. In this role, I assist in planning, monitoring, and evaluating financial resources to ensure that we operate within our means and effectively supporting our mission. That involves collaborating with team members to allocate funds strategically and reviewing expenditures to maximize our impact throughout the community.
All right, we'll move on to candidate Duncan now. You have 1 minute. What experience do you have working with organizational budgets?
Thank you for that question. I have a bachelor's degree in human nutrition and food, and for over 15 years, I oversaw the budget and handling finances, ensuring compliance with health and safety regulations. And as a small business owner, I know the direct impact of financial health, stability, and long-term success. Also, as county commissioner, I will bring my 6-year experience on the city annual budget, approving spending plans specific for services and programs of the city.
All right, and I do want to give a reminder to both candidates, make sure you're speaking directly into the mic, especially for our viewers online. And candidate Duncan, we'll begin with you for this next question. What activities do you support in El Paso County? You have 1 minute.
Great question. So I am a part of the Pikes Peak Area Council of Governments as an alternate for the City of Fountain. I'm also on legislative committees. I attend a variety of different things in the community. I am the past person that was over the African American Youth Leadership Conference. I have worked with our Fountain Youth Council as the director. I've also worked with on our watershed district, ensuring that we have adequate water. I've also worked with our students with economic development in the city. So I've done a lot of things across the board, working with a lot of nonprofits.
All right. Candidate Ibarra.
I actively own a nonprofit business here in the area, which focuses on serving the community as well as willpower personal training in the area, which promotes personal development. Additionally, I am involved with our local USA Boxing LBC, supporting youth and athletes to pursue their excellence in the sport. These organizations play a vital role in enhancing the community and enhancing the community growth and opportunity here in Colorado Springs and in El Paso County.
All right, and candidate Ibarra, this next question will begin with you. What plans do you have to communicate with your constituents? Again, you have 1 minute.
To communicate with my constituents, I will effectively communicate with my constituents to plan and I plan to implement a multi-phased approach that includes regular updates through newsletters, social media platforms, and community meetings. I will establish open channels of feedback, encouraging constituents to share thoughts and concerns. Additionally, I inform to create workshops and events that foster engagement and collaboration. By prioritizing transparency and accessibility, I hope to build a strong relationship to ensure that all voices in the community are heard and also valued at the same time.
Candidate Duncan.
Well, we both have some of the same similarities, as I am currently serving as an elected official. I have had many forums, many issues that were brought to me dealing with housing. I have brought DOLA and CHAFA, different agencies to the community so they will be able to answer questions, to regular town hall meetings, having meeting with constituents, making sure that there is a newsletter to answer all of the questions that anyone would have, and also they have my personal phone number that they can call me and talk at any time.
And candidate Ibarra.
Well, one of the biggest things now, as everyone knows, mostly people get their news from social media, Facebook, Instagram, and stuff like that. So one of my biggest things if I was to become county commissioner of District 4 is to connect with people more on social media, because that's where 85 to 90% of people get their news from.
All right, and we will begin naming your top 3 priorities for the county. We'll begin with candidate Duncan.
My top 3 is for El Paso County is our infrastructure. We live in the Four Corners, where we have Fort Carson, Amazon, and we have the airport, where we have the infrastructure to be able to have small businesses come in our community. We have the land that's in those areas that we can bring small businesses to our community, and that we can have corporate businesses that would be able to bring jobs that can support the people that's working in those places to have to be able to afford housing in the area, in the community that we live. Also, to make sure that we have enough water, and also to make sure that we have public safety in order. We have a shortage of our police officers in our community. We are sharing police officers, and so that's one of my 3 objectives.
Candidate Ibarra, top 3 priorities.
Thank you. For the county, infrastructure, water sustainability, and budget control for the county. My top 3 priorities for the state would be cost of living, infrastructure as well, and crime. For the country, would be immigration, energy independence, and as well as taxes. But specifically for the county, infrastructure is a big thing. As everyone can tell, when you come into District 4, you can see them potholes. They're not even potholes anymore. They're like craters. You hit one of those things and you're gonna need a new alignment or a new rim. For water sustainability, I work for the Security Water Department, so I know how important clean and safe water is to the people, because you don't want to be drinking water that has a lot of lead in it or a lot of PFOAs and PFOHs. Budget control, I think that's a big need here in District 4. In front of my house, they're changing the sidewalks and gutters, which is awesome. It's really amazing, but we don't need it. Not in front of my house. There's sidewalks, it's perfectly fine. The whole street, I feel like it's just a waste of money and time. Thank you.
All right, and Candidate Ibarra, it looks like we're going to move some mics around a little bit. There we go. Tell us how you plan to work with other layers of government if you were to be elected. You have 1 minute.
Thank you. Well, I plan to work collaboratively with other layers of government by open communication and building strong partnerships. That includes regular meetings with local, state, and federal officials. To discuss shared priorities and address community needs, I will advocate for policies that align with our goals and seek opportunities for joint initiatives that leverage resources and expertise. By working together across different levels of government, we can create more effective solutions and ensure that our community's voices is heard and in border decision-making processes.
Candidate Duncan.
Thank you. I am also working with, I plan on working as county commissioner with other layers of government, is with our legislative committee. A lot of things that affect the county comes through our legislative process, and to make sure that I have open relationships. I already have personal relationship with those who are our state representative and are in our legislative, to make sure that those doors are open, and also to work with nonprofits to make sure that we are that we have those things that are available in our community that are accessible to our community.
All right, and that concludes the pre-prepared questions from League of Women Voters sent to these candidates. All right, let's get into it. And Candidate Duncan, this first question will be for you. You will have 90 seconds. Budget process is already underway for the 2025 El Paso County budget. With the preliminary budget being released last week, what do you agree or not agree with in this proposed budget, and what should be the priorities in the county?
The budget process is going on, and I did attend the budget meeting on last week, and I have reviewed the budget for the DA's office that was presented. What I think that that I agree with is that none of the taxes are being increased. The budget is really gone through significantly before it gets to the county commissioners. The elected officials that are under the county commissioner, that they approve the budget, they really go through the budgets and make sure that the budgets are cut and that they have necessities of what they need. What I don't like is services for our communities, such as public health. We have a lot of, we have an office here in Fountain Valley area that is understaffed, and I think that we should make sure that our budget monies are put where they're needed for the people who need it the most. We have a lot of people in this area that use public health, and we need to make sure that the office is staffed.
All right, Candidate Ibarra, same question to you. You have 1 minute and 30 seconds.
Well, I had a little bit of time to review the budget, and it looked pretty well balanced. I do appreciate that the current county commissioners did take a look at or kept in mind money for infrastructure, which was good. But as Ms. Dietrich Duncan stated, I do believe that it was kind of I was a little unhappy that there wasn't enough funding for public needs, like she was saying. So I was a little disappointed there, but I do believe it was a nice balanced budget as far as that I could tell.
All right, and I'll do a follow-up to both of you, and you'll each have a minute for this. What does the county need to do to try and recruit and retain employees? Candidate Ibarra, we'll begin with you.
Okay. I think more incentives. I really do believe more incentives, and more incentives for them to want to work for the county, as well as giving them better benefits. I talk to county workers all the time, and they say some of their benefits are just not adequate to what they're looking for and what they need for their families.
And can you elaborate on those specific benefits?
Some of those benefits are like childcare benefits. Some of those benefits are not up to date to where they need to be. And some of those people that I've been talking to throughout the day, and as I work with those different agencies in the water world, and well, in the water industry, I should say, they're just not adequate to what they're looking for, specifically.
Candidate Duncan?
So I have spoken with each department in the county, and what I have witnessed is that they are working really hard to make sure that the employees have the benefits that they're needing. They are looking at pay to make sure they have equitable pay. And so I think right now, to date, that things are being done to make sure that the employees are happy and that they stay in their jobs. I mean, can they please everyone? I don't think so, but everything needs improvement. But right now, I'm going to be honest, I have went to every department and talked to the employees and asked, and they seem to be happy with what they are.
Candidate Duncan, we'll begin with you for this question. It comes from the audience. They want to know, how do you plan to address rising homelessness? You have 90 seconds for this question.
Well, that's a great question. We need to make sure that we are, I have been out with the code enforcement and going around in the city talking to those unhoused people that are in our district, and some of them are our veterans. We need to make sure that we're taking care of our veterans, and that we're not doing. We need to, I've visited different facilities in other areas, and they have housing for our veterans. I'm also concerned about the mental health quality of, when we take care of the whole person, then that means that they can survive. And we're not addressing the mental health of our homeless. We're not making sure that we are supporting the nonprofits that are helping our unhoused people. And we need to make sure that legislative issues that come from Denver are not making our housing so unaffordable and unattainable that we can't afford to live in our homes.
Candidate Ibarra, same question to you. 90 seconds.
I think that's a very big issue here in our community. Our nonprofit business, even though we're a boxing business, we do bring in a lot of the homeless, and we help them out as far as clothing and giving them a hot meal sometimes, because it's very important. But if I was to become county commissioner for District 4, we talk to a lot of these people that are homeless, and they're not looking for an entire handout. All they need is just a little bit of help, and that little bit of help goes as far as just a warm place to stay, or even using an address so that they can get a job. So I would think it's just partnering together with local nonprofits. Me and my dad have talked to a whole bunch of them, whether it's in Colorado Springs or in Fountain, that are willing to let these people use their address to so they can get a job, or give them at least one hot meal per day. So I think it's just more of picking up the phone, making that phone call, talking to these other business owners, talking to people, and just getting people together and collaborating and being like, hey, this is what they need to get to be successful and to get them off the streets. They're not asking, a lot of them are not asking for a huge handout or money and stuff. They just need a hot meal and basically sometimes just an address so they can go apply for a job.
And I'll follow up with this for both of you. I'll give you 1 minute, Candidate Ibarra. What specific resources or responsibilities should the county be using when it comes to addressing the homelessness problem?
Well, there's a lot of grant money out there that I've seen that could be used to help a lot of these people. So a lot of that grant money could go to, giving them a hot meal, giving them a hot meal to eat, keeping them off the streets, giving them at least a shirt so they could wear. But like I said, there's just a lot of there's a lot of money out there that's just untapped. that could be used to get them off the streets and help them.
And candidate Duncan.
Well, I think that the county could collaborate with other agencies such as HUD and make sure that, and other federal agencies to make sure that the challenges that they have in tracking progress and making and recognize achievements and making sure that they have coordinated with nonprofits and services that have stable in our housing.
And because I've been putting these follow-up questions, I'm actually going to begin with candidate Ibarra on this one. Also from an audience member. What is your stance on allowing tiny homes in communities as long as they are built to a national code and are insurable? You'll have 1 minute.
Thank you. Tiny homes, those are pretty interesting. I've seen a couple of them getting built. I've seen some videos of them on Instagram and Facebook. But I think tiny homes, to a certain degree, they're an advantage. They don't take up that much space. They're good for single people. So I really don't have a problem with it as long as they're in an area where there's enough space for them to build a sufficient amount of number of them. But I think it's a great idea. I really do. It's amazing.
Candidate Duncan.
I think that tiny homes are a housing solution for those who, we have our unhoused, and we have our younger people that are growing up that don't want large homes, and also they could accommodate our seniors that are downsizing from long homes, from large homes where they had a big family. So I think tiny homes being placed where they are accessible to grocery stores and shopping centers would be adequate for our community.
All right, and kind of sticking along just general housing theme, Candidate Duncan, I'll begin with you for this one. Obviously, the availability and affordability of homes in El Paso County has been top of mind for voters. What specific solutions would you propose if you're elected as El Paso County Commissioner? You have 90 seconds.
Well, I think that they should be looking at a banking system that directly involves lending to builders so that the interest rates to builders are stable and they don't have to pass the cost on to homeowners. So setting goals for those and working with HUD and working with other agencies and nonprofits to sustain the housing.
All right, and Candidate Ibarra.
Yes, well, that's definitely a big issue here in this area, especially for younger people like myself. Trying to buy a home or trying to even rent an apartment is a big deal. But one of the things that the county could do is relook at, definitely not raising any county taxes, and if not, bringing them down to help people take the burden off of them so that it's a little bit cheaper to actually buy a house here in the county. But like I said, it's, the county needs to help people a little bit more as far as being able to let this younger generation and everyone being able to afford a house.
Yeah. And of course, a big topic that comes up with housing as well, and availability of housing, comes with zoning. El Paso County, as you may know, has started what's expected to be a 2-year process of updating its land use development code. What would you like to see included in that updated code? Candidate Ibarra, you have 1 minute.
There's a lot of things that I would like to see get updated, but one of the biggest ones is zoning. Zoning enough, like if you're going to put houses, make sure that there's a gas station close, like a zoning for commercial use. Because if you go out east over here, there's houses off of Lorison Ranch and all that. You got all those houses, but they have to travel all the way to Mesa Ridge or all the way back to Colorado Springs just to get some gas or just to go to the grocery store. So there has to be an equal balance of commercial and residential zoning at the same time. There has to be an equal balance.
Candidate Duncan.
I'd like the equal balance, the county to address those. Again, we have Amazon and we have land that's in the four corners of this county that is not being utilized, and we need to make sure that we bring jobs that can support the housing that are in, that, you know, if I'm working at Amazon, then I should be able to afford a house across the street from Amazon. Not being able to do that is something that they need to look at and make sure that we, again, have accessible to shops, accessible to different, I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank, but just accessible to the shops that are in the area.
Thank you. Keeping up with planning and growth here, and Candidate Duncan, I'll begin with you for this question. Colorado Springs has put requirements on water supply before approving new developments. What does El Paso County need to do to protect water resources and also balance the needs and supporting our growth?
Well, actually, we are using less water than we did 10 years ago. And what I think is that when we are looking to build our homes or build any infrastructure, is that we make sure that the builders bring water with them and not pass the cost on to the consumer, and make sure that we are using water, that we have plans, we have environmental plans in place, that we are not wasting any water.
Candidate Ibarra?
Well, water is obviously a big thing, and it's definitely the industry that I work in. So when houses are being built, or commercial or land is being zoned for commercial or residential places, it should, the builders should be accountable for, making sure that, have they checked the aquifers? Is there enough water to sustain that new area? Have they partnered or talked to Colorado Springs, Pueblo, different areas to be like, all right, hey, we're gonna build X amount of homes. We don't have enough water in our aquifers. Can we please, come together with some type of agreement to buy some of your water, or, vice versa. There just needs to be a little bit more collaborative thinking, and so that so that there is enough water for everyone, and as well as the price doesn't come down to the people.
Turning now to public safety, as El Paso County grows, what resources do you see, I'll reframe this question actually, what do you see as the top issue when it comes to public safety in El Paso County, and what resources would you make sure are allocated if you're elected as a county commissioner? You have 90 seconds, we'll begin with you, Candidate Ibarra.
Well, definitely our first responders are a big deal. Making sure we support our police is also a big thing. When I was younger, I went through the El Paso County Cadet program, so I know how they work, how they operate, and I believe that they're really underfunded and don't have enough police in the area or sheriffs in the area to actually operate to make sure they go to every call and in an adequate time. So I think making sure that there's enough money in the budget for them to actually have enough equipment, have enough officers or sheriffs to actually respond to the needs of the people. So, thank you.
Thank you, and I don't know why I'm so nervous. As county commissioner, I would address public safety by supporting the sheriff's office and DA's office with an increase in their budget to support salaries and training for stability. Improving public safety requires a comprehensive set of accountability and prevention strategies that seek to change behavior while addressing the conditions in the rising crime that we have. To address emergency preparedness in the county, I would assess the risks and vulnerabilities to regional hazards, develop strategies to eliminate or reduce risk to life and property, and maintain strong partnerships with local, state, federal, nonprofit, and private agencies to address those hazards.
Thank you, candidates. Don't go away, everybody, including our online audience. We're going to take a quick break. We've got more questions and answers coming up. We're going to give our candidates a short break real quick as we introduce our co-sponsors, and then we'll continue with more of our El Paso County Commissioner District 4 Forum. I want to thank all of our media sponsors. We have Studio 809 Podcasts and Longmire Audio Engineering are bringing our sound and visuals for tonight's forum, so shout out to you guys. KOAA Channel 5 and KRCC Public Radio, also our media sponsors. Our other co-sponsors include AARP, Black and Latino Leadership Coalition, Citizens Project, I think is in the room, and Delta Sigma Theta, Sorority, Colorado Latinos Vote, Latina Equity Foundation, NAACP Colorado Springs, Neighbors for Education, Pikes Peak Diversity Council, Special Kids, Special Families, and Together Colorado, Colorado Springs Faith Table. We would also like to recognize some elected officials that have joined us this evening. I believe Senator Tony Exum Sr., Senate District 11, is in the room with us tonight. Right. Right. Representative Mary Bradfield from House District 21 is also joining us. Representative Mark Snyder, House District 18, in the room as well. And School Board Member Julie Ott, School District 11. Thank you. All right, thank you everybody for joining us. For just a couple of league promos, again, you are here with the League of Women Voters. Our ballot issues forum is this Saturday morning. If you have not RSVP'd, please go to our website. We also have a free lunch for you after that, because in the afternoon, we're gonna give you more information about the 4th Judicial District Attorney Candidate Forum. So we've got a whole day filled for you. Also, again, check out our podcast, Making Democracy Work. Candidates, they have filled out their surveys on vote411.org. That information is live for you. If you do not have your ballot yet, we encourage you to contact the clerk and recorder's office and the voting office as well. And we are a nonprofit, nonpartisan organization. We are member-driven. So if you're a civics geek like us in the league, we encourage you to join us. And please, if you know a student, students are always free. So we encourage you to please share that information and become a member. So that's all I've got. And we're going to turn it back over, I think, to our moderator, Ms. Allison. Thank you.
All right. Okay, getting more questions in from the audience here. And we'll begin with you, candidate Duncan, for this question. As a county commissioner, you could possibly have the opportunity to have a seat on the County Board of Health. How do you feel the Board of Health functioned during the pandemic, and what should be the priorities of the Board of Health going forward? You have 1 minute.
My experience with the Board of Health is that they came to our community, and they set up where immunizations for the pandemic. I thought they did an excellent job. I think as anything could be improved, we haven't had, there is no second chance to do that all over, because we don't know what kind of pandemic we're going to go through. But they did come through, and they with the COVID, they set up shop in our area, and we had COVID shots, and they really had it together for our community, and so I really want to give them kudos for doing that.
And candidate Ibarra.
I believe during COVID they did an amazing job coming down here, providing masks for everyone as fast as possible, shots, COVID shots for everyone. So again, like Mrs. Duncan said, kudos to them. They did a really amazing job. My sister was in high school while all that happened, so I know all that. Wearing masks during school really affected their education and stuff like that, but I believe they did partner with schools and make sure they had a plan in place, so they did a good job. Thank you.
Okay. This is just a yes/no question. Kennedy Ibarra, go for you. Go with you first. Currently, City Council and County Commission meet on the same time and day weekly. Would you be open to moving the daytime to allow more community members to attend?
Yes.
Candidate Duncan?
Yes.
Okay. We'll move on. Earlier this year, El Paso County joined a lawsuit with Douglas and other counties to sue the state over 2 House bills dealing with immigration policy in Colorado. Do you support this decision by county commissioners? Why or why not? Candidate Duncan, we'll begin with you. You have 90 seconds.
Immigration is a mainstay. I think if we all did a genealogy test, we would see that we all are immigrants, if you want to use that word. So I don't feel that that was a good move, and I would not support that if I was county commissioner.
Candidate Ibarra.
Well, I know immigration is a hot topic issue, and I know that's a big issue for a lot of people. First off, my mom is actually an immigrant to this country. She came from Mexico. She's now a naturalized citizen of the United States. So I know that is a big issue, but I do support the county commissioners' push and their push to take this state to court on that, because at the same time we have to have laws. We're a country of laws, and we have to uphold the law. And immigration, there's a process. Just like my mom followed the process, everyone else should be able to follow the same process and come in here legally and not illegally. And if you are here illegally, you should go to the back of the line, just like everybody else.
Let's talk a little bit about mental health today. And Candidate Ibarra, we'll begin with you. You have 90 seconds. In 2023, the youth suicide rate doubled in El Paso County, with 10 kids taking their own lives. What resources, as a county official, would you like to see happen to try and address what's being called an epidemic among kids in our area?
Thank you. That is a very important thing. I think social media is a big driver of, unfortunately, all these deaths that's going on in our area and all across the nation. And I believe if I was to get the opportunity to be a county commissioner in this area, getting together with the local youth, having a little bit more open communication, letting them know that, hey, your elected officials know the pain that you're going through as far as social media and stuff, and like kind of creating programs and collaborating with nonprofits and being, hey, there's a lot of kids getting bullied and through social media and a lot of other forms of, through school and all kinds of stuff, and just letting them know, hey, give them an outlet, letting them know, hey, you can go to these local nonprofits like, boxing gyms or any other type of nonprofits, and letting them know that we're here for you. This is an outlet. You can go boxing, go wrestling, something to that effect.
Candidate Duncan.
Well, we must make sure that we have mental and behavioral health accessible to individuals and families. We need to make sure that that's a priority. We live in a community where we, again, our kids are experiencing mental health crisis. We have a veteran population that is experiencing mental health issues. So we need to make sure that we have enough mental health assistance available in our community. We need to make sure that there's funding in place and resources towards leveraging families and making sure that we have healthy families in our community.
All right. Candidate Duncan, we'll begin with you for this question, and you have 1 minute. What resources or solutions have not been explored at the county level when it comes to healthcare for veterans, whether it's mental health care or otherwise?
So I went to a forum, and I did not know that there was someone that worked with the county that dealt with our veterans and mental health. So because I am in the veteran population, a veteran family, if I didn't know that and haven't dealt with different elements in my own family, I'm sure that other families did not know about it also. So I think that should be, the fault in that is that they need to make sure that it's accessible to the families in the community.
Candidate Ibarra.
Like Mrs. Duncan said, I haven't seen or really heard of any big outreach from the county, or as far as a program that supports mental health issues. My dad was in the military, so I'm around a lot of ex-military and current military. And when we talk to them, I'm not aware of, and neither they are aware of any type of program that can help them with any type of mental issues that they could be possibly going through. So.
Inflation and affordability in general, obviously a big issue, also top of mind for voters this election cycle. What can you do to try and make El Paso County a more affordable place to live as a county commissioner? Candidate Ibarra, we'll begin with you. You have 1 minute.
Well, one of the biggest things I think we could do as county commissioner for District 4 is not raise any more of the county taxes. It's, the people should not hold the burden anymore for a county growing. They really shouldn't hold the burden for it. I think making the district more of an area pleasing to businesses to actually come here. You know, not making this area such a strain for a business to actually open here. Making it easier for them to open, easier for them to access to grants, so that they have a better opportunity of opening up a business in our area. That will create more opportunity and also more competition that will drive down costs.
In Canada, Duncan.
I think we should look at it from an economic development strategy and making sure that we have measurable goals for our families, and making sure that we are having and attracting suppliers of infrastructure that have an investment in our community, and that makes it affordable for everyone to be able to live here. And also making sure that we have jobs in our community that do not support our income, the housing market. And so we need to make sure that we are having incomes that are in our communities that support housing.
Canada, Duncan, we'll begin with you for this next question. Specific to wildfire safety, wildfire mitigation, a big topic for voters really throughout El Paso County as well. What solutions would you like to see the county explore when it comes to wildfire mitigation, as well as planning for evacuations in the event of a disaster? You have 1 minute.
That's a great question. With the county commissioners, I have met with the fire chiefs in the area, and they do have a wildfire mitigation team with the fire chiefs, and they haven't met in over a year, and I think that's a problem. We need to make sure that the people that are protecting us and making sure that we are safe are meeting on a regular basis, and that they have a plan for our evacuation in case there is a fire in our area, and we don't have that.
Candidate Ibarra.
Well, as Ms. Duncan said, making sure that there's a plan in place for fire mitigation, making sure that they have the accessibility to water, definitely is a big one, and also as well make sure that they have all the supplies that they actually need to fight these wildfires, and actually have enough team members and staffing that they need to actually take care of any wildfires or anything that if it was to ever actually happen. So just making sure that there's constant communication and make sure that they have what they need to protect us.
Domestic violence is an issue and has been for some time. What are your plans for decreasing domestic violence cases? You have 1 minute, Candidate Ibarra.
Yeah, that's a very good question, and I know that's a big hot button issue right now. One of the things is just making sure that people know that there's an outlet and that they're going to be supported, and that if they are going through one of those situations, that they are able to call like a safe line or a hotline, or even reach out to their local sheriff's office or police office, and know that they're going to be supported. Make sure that they know that they have that outlet that they can go to, and that they're not going to be criticized or judged for it. And making sure that if they are being abused in any which way or form, that the other person will be prosecuted to the full extent of the law.
Candidate Duncan.
Public safety is a big concern, and domestic violence, and we need to make sure that we are in collaboration with nonprofits as Theta and other agencies that protect those who are going through the experience of domestic violence, and make sure that we support them financially. The county commissioners get money, government funds that they can allocate to different nonprofits, and I think that they should, they should make sure that those agencies are well supported.
All right, Candidate Duncan, we'll begin with you for this next question. Comes from an online viewer. What do you think you can do to help Colorado catch up with funding on infrastructure with our rapid growth? You have 1 minute.
Say that again.
What do you think you can do to help Colorado catch up with funding for infrastructure with our rapid growth?
Well, that's a great question, because we are behind in a lot of things with our roads. I don't think there's, other than making sure that we are collaborating with other agencies to make sure that that we are managing growth. and making sure that we're holding our developers accountable with the growth that they are providing, the infrastructure, the roads, the water, and I think that would help.
And candidate Ibarra.
So I think one of the biggest things is making sure that there's not reckless spending. Like I stated earlier, all the roads and gutters in front of my house and are down the street, and a whole bunch of streets are being redone, and there's nothing wrong with them. So I feel like definitely making sure that the monies are being appropriated right to the right areas and to the right needs, not just being recklessly spent on stuff that doesn't need to be fixed. And as well as also mitigating the expansion of our district, making sure it doesn't grow too fast to where the older communities are not being left behind, and everything's just being everything's just going towards the newer side of the community. So making sure that everything is an even balance and no reckless spending.
And candidate Ibarra, we'll begin with you. You'll have 1 minute for this. Share your thoughts on any one of the ballot issues on the current ballot this November.
Well, I think there's quite a few, actually. That ballot's quite long, as you could tell if I opened up my ballot the other day, and there's quite a few issues on there. And I couldn't say that specifically one is a big one, because they're all big issues. But I would just remind people to make sure that they educate themselves on all the issues, because every single issue on that ballot will make a difference and can make a difference in a lot of people's lives. So I'll just tell people, please get educated and please review and read what each ballot measure means.
And candidate Duncan.
I am concerned about the issue with the marijuana, and the reason why is because I would like to, when we talk about those types of substances, we are also talking about different manufacturers and what they have in those. And my experience, not me personally, but in the community, that leads to another thing. So I'm very concerned about that issue.
All right. Candidate Duncan, you'll have 1 minute for this question. Do you believe climate change is an urgent issue, and what kind of policies would you promote to address it? You have 1 minute.
I do think that climate change, we are experiencing that. We don't, at 8 o'clock it's storming, and at noon the sun is out and it's warm. We are experiencing a lot of those things, and I think we should do a better job at protecting our environment, making sure that we are recycling, making sure that we are conserving our energy in ways that is not hurting our climate, and making sure that we are sustaining our waters, and that we're not, we have to make sure our ecosystem is across the board.
And candidate Ibarra.
Well, I do think it is to a certain point an issue. I do think we should definitely look into renewable energy as far as solar. I think solar is a big thing that could save us in the long run, because fossil fuels eventually they will come to an end, but at the same time there has to be that good median between not getting rid of fossil fuels and coal, and make sure that we use those to their full potential, and as well as also exploring wind power, solar. So there just has to be a good mix.
All right. Candidate Ibarra, we'll begin with you, and you'll have 1 minute. Would you give your stance regarding union organizing for county employees, and do you think these laws are outdated?
Can you
One
repeat the
minute.
second part one more time? Sorry.
Do you think the laws regarding union organizing for county employees are outdated?
I believe that it is something that needs to, should be talked about and revisited. But at the same time, there's certain things, there's certain conversations have to be, brought up at certain times. But I think those about unions and stuff like that, it's a hot button issue, but at the same time, it has to be done, case by case issue. So you can't really relate them all together.
And candidate Duncan?
I do think the union laws are outdated. A couple of years ago, the county employees through the legislative were given the right to unionize, but I do think that the union laws with the county is outdated.
Candidate Duncan, what made you want to run for this office and who has endorsed you? You have 1 minute.
What made me want to run for this office as county commissioner is because that our district is very underserved. Again, we don't have adequate health services in this area. I am working with other people in the community, and we are almost considered a crisis when it comes to health care. We do not have adequate mental health services for veterans in our community. I'm also very concerned about the increased homeless population that we're having that is coming to our communities, and we're not addressing that.
And candidate Ibarra.
Well, one of the biggest things that interested me in running for this office and just in politics in general was my dad. He, in the 2000 election, he ran for city council for Colorado Springs. So since I was little, I've always had an interest in politics. It always intrigued me on, how deals are made and, how politics actually works, how stuff gets done in local government. And I think that after I graduated high school, I looked around and I seen that, a lot of our needs here in the community are not being met, not really being met here for the people on both sides of the aisle. And I think that the lack of, transparency and things getting done here in the community really inspired me to get involved and say, let me join in and as an unaffiliated candidate and work for the people.
Well, I still had 30 seconds, so I didn't answer the second part. Can I do so?
I apologize. I will give you 30 seconds.
Okay. So I did not state who endorsed me, and I'm happy to have the endorsement of Rep. Mark Sider and Senator Exum, who is now in the room.
All right. This will just be a for or against question. And Candidate Duncan, answer first. Candidate Ibarra will be next. What's your position on the ranked choice voting ballot initiative?
My position on ranked choice voting as it stands, I think that it needs some work on what it is as it's presented to us. I think that it's a work in progress. When I was running in the primary and I did not have an opponent, I had many of the constituents in the community stating that because I was not on their ballot, they were unaffiliated and they wanted to vote for me, but I was not on their ballot. And so that is an issue that's in our community, as people would like to vote for more than one candidate on a ballot. So that is an issue, and I am looking into that.
So you are undecided on how you will vote on ranked choice voting?
I am still looking into that.
I'll take that as being undecided. Okay. Candidate Ibarra?
That's definitely, actually me and my dad were just talking about that issue not too long ago. Like Mrs. Duncan stated earlier, as unaffiliated voters, you don't really get to vote. There's certain candidates you can't vote for because you're unaffiliated. You got to pick sides. But it's something that I think kind of tough to go either way on it. But it's something that we're still. I don't know. I'm still kind of undecided on it as well. Kind of undecided.
Sorry, got a couple different audience questions coming in. Okay, if you were to, and Candidate Ibarra, we'll begin with you for this question. If you were to lose this election, what would that mean for you, and what would you do next? You have 1 minute.
Well, thank you. Even if I was to come up short in this election, it definitely wouldn't stop me. I'm only 23 years old. I'm barely getting into this whole new politics, this whole new life. So it honestly has already opened up a lot of doors for me. I've learned a lot from it. And I know next time that I run for whatever position it may be, I'll be, have a lot more knowledge behind it. But it definitely wouldn't be the end of my journey.
Okay. And Candidate Duncan.
If that were to happen, I would continue as I am supporting the community, supporting our veterans, supporting our small business owners, supporting those who are underserved in our community, and making sure that that their voices are heard, and that I will be at every meeting making sure that the person that's representing us is truly representing us, and that our voices are being heard.
All right, we are now going to head into closing statements, and candidates, I'll remind you that you do have 2 minutes for these closing statements, and I just want to double check I have correct order. Candidate Ibarra will be going first. With that, take it away.
First, I want to say thank you to the League of Women Voters here for inviting me out to come speak. It's an amazing forum. But I'm running to represent the people, to put people over politics. That's my slogan of my campaign, and that's what I truly want to do. I have no hidden agendas. I'm not party affiliated. I have no one behind me telling me what to say or what to do. So I just want to work for the people, and I believe that the failures on both sides of the aisle have really driven me to come and be a part of this, this election cycle, and to keep pushing forward my dream of becoming office and serving the people and getting stuff done here in the community. And thank you to everyone.
Candidate Duncan.
Thank you. The only agenda that I have is running for county commissioner is to support you, the people that are in District 4. I want to support economic growth. I want to make sure that our underserved community is no longer underserved. We pay taxes. We should have access to clean water. We should have access to veteran services. We have Fort Carson, Peterson, and Schriever in our backyards, and we are the most underserved when it comes to military and veteran services in the community. I want to make sure that economic growth is in this area. I have lived here 37 years of my life, and there's not much difference I see in the Widefield security area. I want to make sure that our small businesses, our mom and pops, that they have the access to funding and programs that they need to be successful in our community.
Wonderful. Thank you, candidates. Can we get a round of applause for your candidates, please? That wraps up our live and virtual forum for El Paso County Commissioner District 4. Thanks to Widefield Parks and Rec Center for allowing us to use their facilities. We thank you for joining us, whether in person or online. I did forget to mention, in full disclosure, Dr. Duncan is also a league member. She is currently taking a leave of absence from our admin team. So in full disclosure, just an FYI for that. These recordings are available on the League of Women Voters of the Pikes Peak Region website at LWVPPR.org, on our YouTube channel under Live, and on our League's Making Democracy Work podcast. Please stay tuned. If you are joining us live, you're going to actually go to a different link. Go to LWVPPR.org and then click on the link for the next forum for House District 21. So that's kind of, you guys are going to leave us, and then you're going to go and join us on a different forum. Either way, thank you again for being here in the audience. You guys are just going to stay put. And again, thank you, candidates, for being here. Appreciate your time tonight.